There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry. Lone Star!
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
You wanna know how I got these scars?
Today, Junior?
It's the Al Travis Show, and I'm happy to have our next guest on because he's going to clear everything up for me. I'm so happy to get this done. I was very confused most of the weekend. He is Representative Walter Hudson. Representative, thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here as always.
Couple of stories hit me in the funny bone this weekend, and I'm glad you're here to clear it up for me. This Governor Walz came out and announced this Tim O'Malley is going to join the state as a director of program integrity. Sounds wonderful. Is this a new thing? Is he filling a hole? Did we have a program integrity spot before, or is this all brand new?
Well, I mean,
I've never heard of it.
In terms of having the pretense of doing something and proposing something that's not going to work and isn't designed to work, there's nothing new about that. But yes, this guy's position that they invented for that purpose is new, sure.
Okay. And now, if you're going to have, and you're going to decide you're going to have a guy doing the director of program integrity, what do we want? And I'm going to give him credit. Former FBI agent, Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. He was a superintendent of that. He was a judge. The guy's got the chops for it. Then I asked Representative Walter Hudson, if the governor just makes a spot, and you're the guy, and I gave you a cool title, and, here's a business card, what does he have that he can do? I mean, subpoena power? Can he walk into any office, DHS, and say, give me these files? What is it he can do? I don't even know. Do you know?
Well, listen, we know that what you're describing, that type of broad authority to actually do things that are going to make a difference, we know that Governor Walz doesn't want that because he had the opportunity with a bipartisan bill for an independent Office of Inspector General. Yep. That was very well vetted throughout the entire legislative session, passed out of the Democrat-controlled Senate 60-7, and then Walz put the brakes on it. He told House Democrats, don't you dare pass this. So clearly he's not interested in the type of providing anybody who he doesn't control with the type of authority that you're talking about to actually get in there and do something meaningful. This is a show horse.
This is the optical illusion that is. Because you say that, and I will tell you the Governor Walz, people say, the Governor Walz put up a proposal for an inspector general as well at the end of session that got nowhere, because basically it reported to Governor Walz anyway. It wasn't a free. But see, we tried it because he called it the same thing, so you get lost. Then last week, 2 weeks ago maybe, they came out with this Optum group was going to check over all the stuff. Don't worry, we're paying them $2-point-something million. And by the way, how big is and I called a slush fund because I don't know what to call. How big of a money pot does the governor have to just pay this guy something and then $2 million have Optum come in and take a look? Is there just millions lying around that he completely at his discretion? I'm asking. I don't know. For a friend. I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer to that question. Okay. I don't know where he's drawing the money from.
Okay. So he comes up and he tells us, don't worry, I've got this Optum group to do that. Now, people on both sides, well, Optum's got some tangles here and there. But the story comes out that, okay, it sounded like they're going to check everything out, but in reality, they can't check out what insurance companies are paying out, which is 90% of the money we're talking about. He spent $2 million making me think we're going to take a good look at everything, and it's the bottom 10, 15% is all they're going to look at. It's this optical illusion thing that's driving me nuts. Now he's got a guy, sounds like Superman on wheels, come on in. But what can he do? Here's my fear. I throw it to you and tell me if I'm nuts. The fear is the federal government, who is putting the squeeze on everybody in Minnesota, they come in and say that I need this, this, and this, and Walz says, can't do it. Tim O'Malley, my director of program integrity, is doing an investigation, and you'll ruin our investigation. And they'll just stop everything.
I think it's a fairly flimsy defense because, first of all, this guy that the governor has appointed by design doesn't have any law enforcement authority. So the idea that some guy who's not enforcing the law who's not on par, who doesn't have any prosecutorial authority, that his investigation takes precedence over the feds? Give me a
Okay,
break. I don't
okay,
think
but
that's gonna work very
what
well
is
at
it?
all.
What is it you think he's told me here? Then what is Mr. O'Malley doing? You honestly think he's going to look and go,
He's
"Oh, look at
looking
that
pretty.
autism thing was terrible."
He's looking pretty. He's political eye candy.
Okay.
He's a red herring. He's something for you to look at and be like, oh shucks, Walls cares. But see, the problem here is there is nothing that Walls can do at this point that absolves him and Democrats of their responsibility for the fraud that has already
Yeah.
happened. I mean, you have this ridiculous framing. I think it was the Star Tribune that had a headline along the lines of, "Oh yeah, he's appointing this guy to get ahead of the fraud."
Th-
You can't get ahead of the horse out after it's out the barn,
oh, that
right?
is yes.
So the idea that all of a sudden we're going to make things right after years and years and years of doing nothing, and we have anecdotal and actual evidence that the doing of nothing was intentional. The audio of
Yeah.
Keith Ellison saying what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's they are this is nothing but trying to cosmetically pretty themselves up for the 2026 election. They're not actually interested in doing anything meaningful at all.
We had Doc Oz on the program last week, and he came in here because the Star Trib was there. Nothing funnier than the Star Trib coming out saying that it's not really $1 billion. People don't even you don't fall for that. And then 2 days later, have to do an article on how they came up with their numbers because everybody says it's $1 billion. Everybody involved,
Yeah.
and they said. But anyway, Oz comes on the program, and I asked him this, and I don't seem to get a real answer. And maybe you know. As far as I can tell, there might be one person who is not working at the Department of Human Services or wherever this fraud's going on that wasn't a part of this all the way along. No one's getting letters, letters in their
Reprimand.
reprimand. Thank you. No one's getting any of this stuff. When the feds come in, if they find that this was complete and utter neglect, is there anybody going to be able to held accountable? Is somebody in elected office accountable for such things, or it's like, sometimes I'm a knucklehead. That's a quote by him, by the way. Sometimes I'm a knucklehead, and everybody's going to just say, "Yeah, we lost it," and the only way there's way of getting even is to vote differently. Is anybody in government office accountable for such things?
Well, if by accountability you mean consequences beyond the
That's
political,
that's what I'm
so,
talking.
so prosecution, yeah, disciplinary action. It's very clear that we're not going to see any disciplinary action from Walls himself or any of his
Yeah,
departments.
yeah.
You cite the one guy who was let go.
The
Yeah,
day
he
he
was
was
let.
supposed to. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah, he
sorry.
was let go the day before he was supposed to testify in a hearing. So I mean, and their answers to everything is just to add. They don't.
Yeah.
You're right. They don't punish anybody. They don't get rid of anybody. They do shift people around
Yeah.
in order to retaliate and silence people. But beyond that, they just add. They're like, oh well, now
Yeah.
we're going to throw another guy at the problem. Now we're going to throw another few people at the problem, and they'll fix it. And it's like, no, the problem is not lack of personnel. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is you developed a system that is wide open. It's the car running in the gas station parking lot with the
Mm-hmm.
keys in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you designed, and you're surprised when you park it in the middle of a bad neighborhood and somebody steals it. You should have known. There's no
So,
reason why you shouldn't have known, and the degree to which it's happening indicates that that was your intention all along.
and again, so I'm getting the idea that only politically can they be held accountable. Vote them out or do it right. I mean, there's going to be no one that says, I know I wrote this check to these guys. I knew it was fraudulent. There's no way they did $100 million of business, whatever the number, and I wrote it anyway. And no one's going to be held accountable for that.
Well, listen, they could be.
Okay. There
The
is,
question is, will they be? And that is something, it's going to require a degree of conviction on the part of the feds that I have not yet seen. I've seen a lot of talk about how we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to hold all these people accountable and we're going to, disrupt or dismantle these organizations that have been doing all this stuff. I'm not seeing arrests. I'm not seeing people raided at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not seeing, people going to jail for 20 years. I mean, that's what needs to happen. And I'm not just talking about, the folks who were running the bad providers and the non-existent providers. I'm talking about the folks who designed this system. There should be criminal accountability for it. And I can't answer the question whether or not it will happen because I'm not in charge of it.
See, and you give me, because Dr. Oz, that was the same feeling I had with him. He talked a big thing and we should do this and that, but then he hedges his bet on the side because he said, you can screw around and take money from a welfare program and you'll get 18 months, 24 months in jail for doing it. But if you stole the same amount of money from a bank, you go to jail for 5 or 10 years. He says it's just we allow it more. And I'm like, are you saying that's what's going to happen here? I don't see the teeth in it, and we'll talk about that, I guess, as we go along. I've got to go to break. Do you mind? I presume, were you at the big straw poll Minnesota State Central Committee meeting? Were you there? Were you part of that?
I was there to a point, and then I had to leave for a family obligation.
Okay, fair enough. Can we just kind of bust it down a little bit? What came out of it? I don't know how much it actually means for anybody, and most people are like, I missed that story. We'll talk about it coming up here in a minute. It's Walter Hudson, Representative Walter Hudson, on the Al Travis Show.
Think about it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
As in alligator. L also in alligator. but it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
And I've got Representative Walter Hudson on the program. I probably not said this out loud, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think this whole process we do to get the people nominated in our parties is the craziest thing of all time. What I mean by that is you go to your local BPO meeting and you meet a bunch of fellow people that believe like you, and you come up with a bunch of things you want to put on the platform, and you spend a couple hours. Okay. Then you go to the next level, and you're in the county side, and then you whittle it down to the 300 that took the GOP straw poll this weekend, right? To the most diehard of your party, right? These are the people that are willing to go through the entire process to have their say and make a vote like this. I think a lot of folks don't have that kind of time to do it. Your thoughts on the whole?
Well,
process?
yeah, I mean, it is a process that requires a certain degree of both time and financial commitment, right? Because the caucus is free, but everything after that you're expected to pay some sort of registration for, and the price only goes up the higher up you go in terms of once you get to state convention, and you might have to travel across the state.
A weekend in a hotel, or it's going to cost you some money. So these are the diehards. I guess the only reason I started this. So the state central committee convened this weekend, and they do a straw poll. No one's held to this thing. It's not like you got to do this, but I think it is kind of telling, and I want to get your thoughts on if we can run down. Kendall Qualls has been running a few times. He's been out there running for state office. He wins with 27% of the vote. Lisa Damath right behind it, 26%. She's obviously well known because she's the Speaker of the House. I don't know if that surprised me. Mike Lindell, he comes in at 14%. Probably the best name recognition. I mean, you're going to get commercials right here on this show. I mean, people know who Mike Lindell is. I don't know what that means. This Chris Medell, I didn't know him real well, comes in at 12%. Phil Parrish down to 5%. Christian Robbins, I want to ask you about that, 3.9. I was a little shocked with that because she's on that fraud committee that you're on. I think that's going to be the topic of the jour, for the year. Scott Jennings, Dr. Jennings, only 2%. He was our guy last time, right? Any of these numbers, Brad, I don't know, Brad Kohler, please don't get mad at me. He got one vote. Brad knows who voted for him. He was there. I'm sorry, Brad. Don't know you, but we know who voted for you. Your thoughts on any of that? Who's leading, who's not?
There's a lot to break down.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised by the results. I guess I'm a little surprised that Phil Parrish did as well as he did compared to somebody like Kristen Robbins.
Yeah.
But the Kendall Qualls, I think it's a reflection of the work that's been put in.
So far, sure.
For the most part. I'm not saying that's 100%, but like as a rule of thumb, you look at those results and it's a reflection of the work that's been put in by the candidates. For example, Jeff Johnson, and not the Jeff Johnson that we knew from the past who was endorsed, but another guy named Jeff Johnson was in here as well. And I met him. I haven't seen anything from him, right? Okay. So it's like, if I'm not hearing from you, then you're probably not letting other people know what you're up to. By contrast, Qualls and Damath, I can't escape, right? Like they're all over the place talking about what they're going to do.
I had people today send me an email asking if they could be on the show right away to discuss this. And I'm like, I don't think it's that important. I got everybody on if I get one on. So yeah, his people are all over it. His people are working.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that I think it's a reflection of the work. We're at a point where it's still early yet, right? Caucuses are coming up in a couple of months, and I think that'll be significantly more meaningful than what happened at State Central. But I think the results that we've seen is a reflection of the work, along with you can also intuit kind of where people are at in terms of their analysis of candidate quality as well.
Is this a big enough thing to have some decide that obviously it's not going? I don't know Brad. I'm not trying to rip Brad. Brad got a vote. Brad voted for himself. Brad put his name down. I got it. Does this group stay, or do some say no traction here? I'm not going to be able to go from that to 93 votes. You know what I'm saying? Is this enough to whittle somebody down when you look at 300 Republicans and no one else voted for you? I'm not calling for him to get out. I don't know.
It always comes down to the candidate's self-reflection and analysis, right? So, is somebody capable of taking themselves out of their own analysis? That's a very hard thing for a person to do, right?
Sure.
Typically, campaigns only truly end, or are suspended when they literally run out of money. Like that's usually the thing that kills
That's the kill it. Gotcha.
So in other words, as long as they got a dime to keep clawing around and trying, they're going to keep doing it. And in this case, again, the state central committee results are interesting, but they're not declarative. Like this is not indicative of exactly what we're going to see moving forward. And so you could make the case as a guy who got one vote. And by the way, I don't know that Kohler was a delegate or not, so he might have actually convinced somebody else.
Okay, that's how I read it when I read it. Like, okay, Brad voted for himself. I don't know that, and I don't know Brad. I'm not telling him to get out. I'm not. It's just that's sad. 10 other people. I mean, 10 other people decided not to vote. Like it would take too much of their time. 10 people abstained. Like
really.
Yeah, so like
that's
more
funny.
10 times more people were there and decided it wasn't my time to put my name. I don't know what it would hurt. Anyway, that was the deal.
What it comes down to is, people also have to take into consideration their personal cost, right? So if you've made a decision, like let's talk about Kristen Robbins. All right,
you got 20 seconds. I'm going to hit a hard break.
You made a decision to leave the house. You've invested time and effort and resources into this. To say I'm not going to go any farther that's an admission that you might not want to make, right? So
understand it's going to be a hard decision for a ton. Thank you. You did it in 20 seconds. Representative Walter Hudson, love having him on the show. Appreciate you, sir.